If I'm being honest, my wedding night was the moment my entire life collapsed, because the man I married, the man the world believed was mute, suddenly spoke. Not a whisper, not a slip. A full, steady sentence that shattered everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and even my own family. "Harper, we need to talk." That's what he said. The first words I'd ever heard from him. The first clue that my marriage and my mother were hiding secrets darker than anything I was prepared for. I remember standing there in my wedding dress, mascara, breaking heart pounding, realizing I might have married a lie, or walked straight into a plan designed long before I ever said I do. And the worst part, both my husband and my mother believed they did it to protect me. But protect me from what? And why did everyone know, except me? My name is Harper Lane. I'm 32, and I thought my wedding day was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the night everything I believed about love, trust, and even my own family shattered in a single sentence. The celebration at Willow Heights had been picture-perfect string lights, glowing champagne, flowing guests, laughing like they were part of some deluxe magazine spread. People kept telling me how lucky I was to marry Rowan Hale, the quiet, gentle, impossibly patient man who'd supposedly lost his voice as a child. I used to think his silence made him safe, predictable, steady. I had no idea it was the most dangerous thing about him. By the time we reached Rowan's penthouse overlooking Seattle's waterfront, I felt exhausted, but content floating on that warm post-wedding glow. I slipped off my heels humming as I walked toward the bedroom. The air smelled faintly of cedar, and the new candle I lit earlier, something cozy, something hopeful. Then behind me, a man's voice, low, steady, unmistakably calm, said, "Harper, we need to talk." I froze. My blood iced over. My fingers slipped from the edge of my dress zipper. Every hair on my arms stood up like needles. Because I recognized that voice. Because I had never ever heard Rowan speak. Slowly, I turned around. Rowan stood in the living room, hands in his pockets, shoulders a little tense, but not nearly as tense as they should have been for a man about to confess something life-altering. He looked at me not with fear, but with resignation, like he had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. My throat closed. You can talk," my voice scraped out thin and shaking. His jaw tightened. Yes. One word. One simple, devastating syllable. And suddenly, every memory I had with him, every gesture, every written note, every soft smile started collapsing in on themselves like a dying star. I staggered backward until my hip hit the dresser. "How long?" I whispered. He didn't even hesitate. "The whole time." I felt the room tilt. "The whole time you pretended you were mute," he nodded. "Harper, I didn't want to hurt you. But there were reasons, things you don't know yet." My stomach twisted. "Reasons you lied to me. You lied through our entire relationship. You let me introduce you to my friends, my family, the world, like you were someone who needed protecting, who needed extra care. You let me defend you. You let me—" My voice cracked and I covered my mouth. He stepped forward. "Harper, please, let me explain." "No." I backed away. "No, don't come closer." For the first time since I met him, his expression faltered, just barely, like a flicker of guilt. But there was something else behind it too. Something heavier. Something I didn't recognize yet. He swallowed. "You're right to be angry. I was wrong to hide it. But you need to know. Your mother was involved too." Everything inside me went still. My mother, my voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded like someone watching their world implode from outside their own body. Rowan nodded slowly. Eleanor knew from the start. She helped arrange everything. I felt the floor drop out beneath me. My mother. The woman who hovered over every detail of the wedding, who told me this marriage was the safest choice, who pushed me toward Rowan like he was some kind of guardian angel sent to keep my life from falling apart. She wouldn't. My chest tightened. She couldn't. Rowan ran a hand through his hair. "She thought she was protecting you. After what happened with your last relationship, she worried you'd choose another charming talker who'd hurt you. She thought I was the opposite, steady, loyal, silent." My heart pounded like it wanted to escape my body. "So you two—" What teamed up, decided to build a marriage on lies? Decided to script who I was supposed to be with? Harper, no, I snapped. You played me. Both of you. I could barely breathe. Do you know what it feels like to suddenly realize your entire marriage might be some kind of Project A controlled experiment between my mother and the man I thought I loved? He didn't answer. Of course he didn't answer, because the truth was already sitting between us like a loaded gun. My eyes burned. I pushed past him and stumbled into the bathroom, locking the door with shaking fingers. I pressed my back against the cold tile and slid down until I hit the floor. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear the dress off. I wanted to run. I wanted answers. I wanted none of this to be real. But something else was happening inside me too. Something darker, sharper. Why now? Why on our wedding night? Why would my mother risk everything, my trust, my future, my marriage to orchestrate a lie like this? And what exactly had Rowan meant when he said there were reasons? I wiped my face, staring at my reflection in the black mirror of the shower door. My mascara had smudged, my lipstick faded, but my eyes looked like someone who had just stepped into a story she didn't consent to be part of. A story I suddenly needed to unravel. Before I stepped out again, I found myself whispering, "What else are you hiding from me, Rowan? And maybe scarier, what else has my mother done without telling me?" Before I continue with part 2, let me ask you something. If your husband revealed a lie this big on your wedding night, would you stay or would you leave? If you think Harper should walk away, type 10. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake on the couch, not in our bed, still in my wedding dress, makeup smudged and veil tossed somewhere on the floor like the remains of a broken promise. The city outside kept humming neon reflections moving across the windows, but inside the penthouse, everything was silent. Rowan didn't try to sleep. He sat in the armchair across the room, elbows on his knees, watching me with the expression of a man waiting to be judged in a courtroom. By sunrise, I felt less like a bride and more like a stranger trapped in someone else's life. I stood up, legs trembling, and said, "Call my mother. Now." He hesitated. "Harper, I don't think I wasn't asking for your opinion." To his credit, he didn't argue. He dialed my mother's number on speaker. When Eleanor Lane answered, her voice sounded soft, almost cheerful, like she didn't expect her entire world to collapse at 6:30 in the morning. "Sweetheart," she said, "why are you calling so early? Is everything okay?" The anger I'd been holding in cracked open. "No, Mom, everything is not okay. Tell me the truth." Did you know Rowan wasn't mute silence? A long, heavy silence that felt like its own confession. Then a shaky breath on the other end. Yes. The weight of that betrayal hit harder than Rowan's lie. My own mother. My protector. The woman who raised me to trust my instincts, yet didn't trust me enough to choose my own husband. I felt the burn behind my eyes, but refused to let tears fall. "Why? Why would you do that to me?" Because she whispered, "I know the kind of men you fall for, Harper. And I wasn't going to watch you make another mistake. Not after what happened with Tyler." My stomach clenched at the name. Tyler, my ex, who charmed me, drained my savings, and left me with a pile of debt and a crater in my confidence. But using my past against me, manipulating my future, that wasn't protection. That was control. "I trusted you," I said, voice trembling. "I trusted both of you." Before she could respond, I hung up. Rowan exhaled long and defeated. "Harper, I'm leaving." The look in his eyes, fear, regret, desperation, would have been enough to break someone softer than me. But I was past breaking. As I grabbed my bag and stormed toward the elevator, he followed. "At least let me drive you," he said quietly. "Please." I turned sharply. The last person I want to be trapped in a car with is the man who lied his way into my life. Something flickered in his eyes, the first real crack in his calm facade. Then let me tell you everything he said, voice barely steady. All of it. Even the parts Eleanor begged me to never bring up. That made me pause. Parts my mother didn't want me to know. A chill ran through me. Against my better judgment, I stepped back inside the penthouse. Rowan closed the door gently, like he was afraid I might disappear if it made the slightest sound. "Sit," he said softly. I didn't. I crossed my arms instead. Say what you need to say." He swallowed hard. "A few months before I met you, your mom showed up at my office unannounced. She told me everything about Tyler. She said you didn't trust yourself anymore, that you were lost, that you needed stability." "Stability," I scoffed. "As in someone emotionally handicapped? No," he said quickly. "As in someone who wouldn't sweet-talk you into another disaster. Someone who couldn't manipulate you with charm. Someone safe." I stared at him. "So you thought pretending to be mute would make me feel safe?" His jaw tightened. "I didn't at first. I tried talking to you normally when we met. But your mother, she insisted I let you believe I'd lost my voice. She said it would slow everything down. Let you observe me, trust me, believe in something steady again." My throat tightened. My mother would never. She did. His voice cracked. "She offered to fund a project I was working on if I agreed." I jolted. "So you were paid?" "No," he said sharply. "I didn't take her money, but she pushed, hard. And when I refused, she told me something I didn't know, something about you." He hesitated. I stepped closer. "What did she tell you?" His eyes met mine, painful raw. "That you weren't eating, that you were barely sleeping, that she found your journal and read something that scared her. She said she wasn't sure you'd recover from another heartbreak. She said she'd rather have you angry at her someday than watch you collapse again." My anger faltered, but only for a second. "So what, you two decided to take away my choices, shape my life into something you could control? That's not protection, Rowan. That's manipulation." He didn't argue. Instead, he walked to the coffee table, picked up a small black device, and held it out. "A recorder." "I want you to hear something," he said. "If you want the truth, this is everything." I stared at it, pulse pounding. In that moment, I felt like I was standing at the edge of something huge, ugly, painful, but necessary. A deeper lie. A buried confession. Something that connected both Rowan and my mother in ways I never imagined. My fingers hovered over the recorder. "Before I hit play, I need to ask you, if someone you love lied for your own good, would you forgive them? Or never look back? If you wouldn't forgive, type 10. My fingers trembled as I finally pressed play. Rowan stepped back, his shoulders tense, like he was bracing for an earthquake. At first, all I heard was the low hum of an office air conditioner. Then my mother's voice, quiet, shaky, nothing like the sharp, controlled version of her I'd always known. "Rowan, I'm begging you. I can't lose her again. She's all I have." My breath caught. A chair scraped. Rowan's recorded voice, slightly annoyed, responded, "This is extreme, Eleanor. She deserves honesty. She deserves a life that won't destroy her," my mother insisted, voice cracking. "You didn't see her after Tyler. I had to pull her out of bed. I had to hide the pills. I had to get rid of the letters he sent her just to stop the panic attacks. She won't survive another charming liar." My heartbeat faltered. Pills, letters, my own memories blurred my mind, shielding itself from the darkest parts of what I went through. "I'm not asking you to lie forever," my mother whispered. "Just start from a place where she can't be manipulated. Give her room to trust again." Rowan's voice lowered. "And what about me? What about when she finds out?" "Then I'll take the blame," my mother said softly. "Not you. Me." The recording clicked off. By the time the silence settled, I was no longer shaking from anger. I was shaking because the truth was so much heavier than the lies. My mother hadn't tried to control my life out of pride. She'd tried to save it out of fear. And Rowan, he hadn't done this for money or advantage or to trap me. He'd done it because someone he barely knew begged him to protect a woman he hadn't even met yet. Still, pain is pain, and betrayal is betrayal. I placed the recorder on the table. "I needed the truth," I whispered. "But I wish it didn't hurt this much." Rowan swallowed. "Harper, I know sorry will never be enough. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want to earn whatever trust is left, even if it takes years. Even if it means losing you now and waiting until you're ready." I looked at him, really looked at him. For the first time, without anger clouding my vision. His eyes were red. His voice unsteady. His hands trembling like he'd been holding onto guilt for far too long. "Why did you agree?" I finally asked. "Why did you let her convince you?" His voice cracked. "Because I saw myself in you." That took me by surprise. I wasn't mute, he continued, but I was quiet. After my ex-wife Sienna cheated and made my private life a public mess, I stepped back from everything. I didn't trust myself either. I didn't know how to talk without doubting every word. Your mom didn't just ask me to help you, she helped me face something I'd been running from. And the lie I whispered. He winced. The worst decision I ever made. A long silence stretched between us. Then, unexpectedly, my phone buzzed. A message from Eleanor Lane. "I'm downstairs. Please, let me explain." For a moment, I didn't want to see her. But my heart, a stubborn, hopeful thing, wouldn't let me walk away without closure. I found her waiting in the lobby, clutching her purse, like she was holding on to the last fragment of her world. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, Harper," she whispered. "I didn't mean to steal your choices. I just wanted you safe. Safe from everything I said softly, except you." Her face crumpled. "I'll accept whatever punishment you give me. But please don't shut me out. Not again." And despite everything, I fell into her arms. Not because what she did was right, but because love is complicated. And sometimes the people who hurt us are the ones trying the hardest to protect us. Over the next few weeks, Rowan and I didn't magically fix everything. Trust wasn't rebuilt overnight. But we talked. We argued. We healed slowly, honestly. And then something unexpected happened. I found out I was pregnant. The news knocked the air out of me. Fear, joy, panic, hope, all tangled together. When I told Rowan, he didn't just cry. He dropped to his knees, hands over his face, like the universe had given him a second chance he never thought he'd deserve. Throughout the pregnancy, he showed up for every appointment, every craving run, every panic moment. He didn't try to be perfect. He just tried to be present. When our daughter Lila was born, Rowan held her like she was made of light. And for the first time, I saw the man he truly was. Not the lie, not the silence, not the mistake. Just Rowan, just mine. A year later, he took me to Amsterdam to a small bridge glowing with lantern lights, and he asked me, not as the man who lied, but as the man who learned Harper Lane, "May I marry you again?" This time with no secrets, no fear, no shadows, I said yes. Not because the past vanished, but because we walked through it, survived it, and built something real on the other side. And sometimes that's what love actually looks like. Before I end this story, let me ask you, how did this journey make you feel? If you think Harper made the right choice, comment 100. Tell me where you're watching from, what country, what city. And please share this video so more people can hear this story.